Hello everybody, I'm excited to introduce you to Panotti. Panotti is an audio capture and processing assistant that's been designed to supercharge your AI audio workflows. The whole point of Panotti is that you are in control. You decide how your data is handled, and Panotti provides an audio processing workflow that can be entirely completed on your own machine without sending your data anywhere. We also offer the ability to use external LLM vendors such as OpenAI, Anthropic, or Google if you wish. The Panotti system consists of two parts: the macOS desktop app that captures and records your audio, then calls a server of your choice for processing. The second part is the Panotti server, an open source server that privately processes your audio data. Either part of the system can be used independently. However, to get the best results, you should use both the Panotti app and server together. So let's get started. Before we get started with the setup, I'm just going to show you what Panotti does after it's been set up. So when you launch the app, you'll see this record button. It's as simple as hitting press record, and then you can record your meeting in the background. So I'm going to record a meeting with Thomas
The first words I spoke in the original phonograph, a little piece of practical poetry. Mary had a little lamb, its fleece was white as snow, and everywhere that Mary went, the lamb was sure to go.
Well, that's great, Thomas. We'll catch up next Tuesday with Mary and talk about your lamb issue. Thanks a lot. Bye. Okay, so you hit stop recording when you're done, and at this point it's going to start calling the server and processing the files. It could take a while depending on how long your meeting is and how much transcription and meeting notes need to be generated. But you can go to this listen tab. It's already generated the transcript for this particular meeting. Grant access and show this. Oops, and it's also got the meeting notes. So the meeting notes have been created. So here's the transcript, and here are the meeting notes that were created, and it picked up that we need to follow up with Thomas's issue. Obviously, the longer the meeting, the more context the language model would have. But you can also get the transcript here. So in a nutshell, that's just a pretty simple demonstration of how straightforward it is to use the Panotti system once it's all set up. But now I'll go into the setup section. Okay, to get started with the install, the best place to go is to our homepage at panotti.io. That's panotti.io. And that'll bring you to our homepage. If you scroll down here, you'll have the link to this video, intro and setup. And then I just want to point out on the contact us section, you'll have the link to join the Discord community. Highly recommend you join the Discord community for public support and also to learn about new announcements. That's the place you want to go. We also have documentation under the docs section about getting started and for the app and server itself. But to start off quickly, just go to our homepage, hit download on the Mac App Store. That'll launch the App Store and you can just download it. I've already downloaded it, so I can just open it. So I'm going to open this and you'll see this screen when it first comes up. So I'm going to just minimize all this stuff in the background. So when the app first launches, you're going to see this confirmation screen. So first you need to confirm that you're over 16, you agree to the terms and condition and the privacy policy before you continue. So note here, it's your responsibility to make sure that you adhere to all the laws and regulations for your jurisdiction and make sure you inform other people on a call that you're recording them. So that's your responsibility. So make sure you read those terms and conditions and privacy policy, which are linked to the website, before continuing. So we're going to continue. The next thing you need to do is enable microphone access. So I'm going to enable that. This might not come up for you, this bit. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to then enable system access. So I can open system settings, turn on settings for Panotti, and then again, I'm going to have to quit and reopen the app. So then I get to this state. So this means that you've enabled all the security settings you need to. The next thing you need to do is go to the settings directory. It's going to jump up and ask to grant access. So it's granting access to your documents directory, and you're also going to have to grant access to your server installation directory. Then you're going to want to choose where you want your recordings to be saved. So that's the recording location. So I'm going to select a directory in my documents directory called Panotti, and I'm going to choose that. The next thing, I'll just leave my microphone as system default. The microphone label and system audio label in the transcription section. This is what you want to be identified as in the meeting notes. So the microphone label, I'm going to put Todd. I'm just going to leave meeting participants as the system audio label. And then finally, select the directory that you want to install the server. In this case, I want to install it in my home directory on my Mac. So I'm just going to leave it as the default. And then you should select an API key for your server. Here I'm just going to use QWERTY123, but you should select one that's more unique to you, and sort of treat it like a password, and probably don't use QWERTY123. The next thing I'm going to do is hit install server. So I'm going to hit that, and what this is saying is it's actually copied the install command to a clipboard, and it's open the terminal in the background. So all I have to do is hit our Apple key V and paste it, or I can come up here to the edit menu and paste it as well. And that's pretty much it. Just have to hit return. Now this is going to start the server installer process. So the backend server is an open source server that you can change in any way that you wish. So the source code is available on GitHub. But first thing you want to do is you should read the warranty disclaimer and the responsibility notices and whatnot, and then agree to proceed with the installation. So we'll say yes. So the first thing the script's going to do is probably download some tools to do a system check to make sure that you have enough system requirements to be able to run local meeting note generation. So it's going to do that check. In my case, I do have enough GPU memory to be able to continue with the local meeting note installation. Your system may or may not, depending on what system you have. Therefore, it could flag to ask you to do a remote meeting note generation where you actually call off to a third-party provider like OpenAI or Anthropic to be able to generate the meeting notes. Now, the note there is that that's no longer sort of private or secure. You are sending your transcript data to them to generate the meeting notes. So that's a decision that you'll have to make. But if your machine can't handle local meeting note generation, then that's one of the only main options you have. So it could direct you down that route. In my case, I do have the correct requirements. So I'm going to proceed with a fresh install here. And you'll see it'll do all the work to be able to set up the Docker container. It's quite likely that this process will take maybe 15 or so minutes, depending on how much stuff you have installed on your system. For instance, if you don't have Homebrew installed, it'll install Homebrew, which is a Mac package manager. It will also install Docker, which is a way to run virtual servers on your machine. In the case of Docker, it'll come up and ask you to accept the licensing terms and conditions before continuing. So if I just show you a setting on Docker, so once you set up Docker, you can decide whether you want to create an account or you can skip that bit. Depends on your use case. If you're using it for personal reasons, that's different than using it for commercial reasons. So you have to read all the terms and conditions there. But if you go to the settings button up here, you want to make sure that Start Docker Desktop when you sign into your computer is ticked to make sure that the server is running in the background at all the time once you set up the server itself. So in my case, Docker was set up and was created, and I get to this point. There is a background admin server for you to change settings on the server that's linked here. I have another video on that in the docs section about the server setup, so that'll go into detail on that. But essentially right now it's all set up and ready to use. So you can just hit exit here, and then you just have to go to the record button and start recording. So I can say, hello, my name's Todd. I'm doing a test recording for this demo video, and that's pretty much it. So I'm going to stop. And then again in this listen page, so it looks like it's already started processing. It could be that sample was probably too short to get anything meaningful out. But in this listen pane is where you're going to see the transcript and the meeting notes being generated, and you can link to them here. To view the transcripts and reading notes, I'm using an app called Macdown, Macdown, and that's something that you can just Google for if you want to look at the Markdown meeting notes. But they do come in Markdown format, which is really useful for saving to note-taking apps like Obsidian. And I'll let you take a look at that. You can also export it into other formats as you require. But that's about it. That's the setup. Really hope that you guys enjoy this app and let us know how it goes. Again, go to our website for documentation, feedback, and support. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.